States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you remain standing, please, is one of the pastors here today? Oh, there you are, Pastor. We'll give our invocation. Thank you.
Let us pray. Eternal God, we give you thanks for this beautiful land of ours, the land of liberty, for our beautiful state of Michigan, and for our beloved city of Allen Park. We pray for our council and all its members. We pray for wisdom for them, guide them. Watch over our city. Watch over our citizens. Prosper us all. Keep us safe from harm and danger, and bless us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. For me. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilman Templin.
Present.
Councilman Cisco has asked to be excused. Councilman DiGiulio.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavarecki.
Present.
Councilman Rourke.
Here.
Madam Pro Tem McLeod. Here. Treasurer Armstrong.
Present.
And Mayor Mategas.
Present.
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ask for a motion to put the agenda before the council tonight.
Motion.
Support.
Councilwoman Gavarecki has moved. Councilman O'Rourke has supported. Is there any changes or discussions?
Let's separate claims and accounts there.
Without exceptions, on the consent agenda, we will take claims and accounts and make that a separate item. Are there any other changes, additions? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Thank you. Motion to put the minutes of February 27th before the council.
Motion.
Councilman Templin has moved. Mayor Pro Tem McLeod has supported. Are there any changes or additions that are needed? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The organizational business, the city administrator, who hasn't been feeling well, so he must have been home writing up all this stuff for us because he gave us a handful here this evening. And we'll listen to his reports and documents.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor, Council, residents, students. I did give some information. I just want to real quickly, we had a nice thank you note from Mr. Turner. I wanted to pass it along. The DPS, Matt Doreen's guys had done something for him in appreciation. A tree had fallen at the city property next to his house, so they took care of that issue for him. The budget timeline, I don't think I had passed that out before. I do apologize. We're ahead of schedule just a couple days at this point in time. I think that's why Mr. Katie is heading out of town comfortably. And then that was it. Then you have the other one was the Guidance Center wanted to show appreciation. They sent a letter of appreciation over for the donation through the Block Grant program that was made. For city business, the Allen Park Civic Arena, it was buzzing for the last couple weeks here. They had large crowds for that hockey game. I think that was 2 weeks ago, this Wednesday. That was the pre-regional final between Allen Park and Cabrini. Allen Park won that game. It was very, I think Cabrini held their own pretty well, though. I think it was a competitive game. The fans walking out there said something I'd love to see happen, and I think we're just a little bit of ways, according to Dave, with his team at Cabrini. It'd be great to see those two teams play again on a regular basis. So I think there's some discussion in the I know I was talking to Rob and that about some possibilities of maybe there's an alumni game between those two teams as well. I think you try to get that rivalry going back between the two teams and that, but it'd be great to see. The fans leaving there really like to see the both teams performing well. So they also had a big crowd for the regional final between Allen Park and Livonia Churchill. Unfortunately, Allen Park came up on the short side of that one after triple overtime. But still, nothing to be ashamed of. They had a great season as well, and looking forward to see their growth in the next year as well. Nancy, Nick, I don't think Nancy's here tonight, but I think she is going to be heading out to pick up our first 4 benches. I know we posted up on the Facebook page, the website. We've got a collection site out here. There are collection sites at the arena as well for your bottle cap lids, plastic bottle cap lids. If you put those in there, they're able to make a bench with 400 pounds of bottle cap lids. Doesn't take much to add up. Just throw them up. I got a plastic bag, throw them in there. Gatorade bottles, pop bottles, they all add up, milk containers. So we've already got 4 benches. She's going to get those for us, and the goal is to for 20 total. And then those are going to be placed in the parks throughout the city. The street improvement millage work, that's going to start here on Colonial Court at the end of March, early April, and that is all weather dependent. And then we'll be following Colonial Court with McLean Avenue and Park Avenue. McLean from Allen Road to Park Avenue, and then Park Avenue from Wick Road to Leslie. And we're already starting to work on next year's list as well. We know there's a number of issues. McLean is one of those we're going to be looking at again for next year. The continuation of that road is in really, really bad shape. For the water main replacement project, Brico Excavating has completed the installation of the water main on Colonial Court, and that line has been pressurized. This line is undergoing testing right now, and by the end of the week, they'll be doing the connections to the residents' water leads and get them back online with the new water main. McLean water main has been installed and pressurized. Tests are scheduled for the end of this week, and then they'll start that same process of getting the water leads back online next week as well. As we just mentioned, Colonial Court and McLean Avenue water mains are being replaced prior to both streets being redone for the street improvement millage. We mentioned that a number of times. Make sure we don't have any issues in the future. Those lines, that'll be all new road, new lines, good to go. Also part of the water main replacement project, Marquise Avenue, Fox Avenue to Rosedale. That water main has been installed. The Thomas Avenue water main, and this is from Rosedale Avenue to the city limit with Lincoln Park. That has been scheduled to be bored at the end of this week. And then College Avenue, that's going to be Lawrence Avenue to the city limits with Lincoln Park, roughly around Wall Street. That is scheduled to start within the next 2 weeks, and it looks like, just talking to Tom before the meeting here, that may be as early as next week for the install on that project as well. So they're really cranking out the water main projects to get us out of the, get us done with, and then they'll be out for the rest of the season. Liquiforce, they finished lining sewer sections north of Southfield Road. They were working in the area of Russell Avenue and Roger Avenue. They're currently working on the area of Cleveland Avenue, Garfield Avenue, and Rosedale for those sewer lines in that area. Once they're done with that, they'll be moving over to Ecorse Road in the Osage area for the sewer lining in that area. I'm not too sure. Osage, and I think another street, a couple other streets in that general area. I think Tom told me Larmy is one of those other streets in there. So residents be notified as they come into that area before that work starts. I had an opportunity to attend the Michigan Road Preservation Association Conference with Tom Murray on last Monday. Came up with a couple new ideas on road preservation, some things that we currently do, some things that we don't do that we're going to have, we have Sohail from the City Engineer's Office looking into, see if those are possibilities of something we can bring back to the Allen Park that would help preserve the roads. Right now we're going through and doing a lot of reconstruction because the roads were in such bad shape, but eventually we need to get to that part where we're able to do make sure the crack sealing is going on or some certain types of preservation can be done on the asphalt roads, i.e. Park Avenue at this point in time is probably the one that's in the best shape. Manor is another possibility of looking at some techniques that may be able to be used to help prolong the life of those roads in here shortly. The newest firefighter, Edward Jankowski, remember he was sworn in here a couple meetings ago. He has gone through his training and he finished that on Monday, and he is now part of the active rotation with the fire department. Chief LaFon and Deputy Chief Can, they'll be heading to Wisconsin the 22nd and 23rd of this month. They're going to be inspecting the new fire truck that the city is purchasing. As part of that process, they go out, make sure everything is in order with what they expect, and make sure everything's back in the timeline that they expect to have that. And it's usually a few more months after that inspection, 4 more weeks after that inspection, and that truck will be ready to go. It'll be brought here back to Allen Park from Wisconsin. The public library, Allen Park Public Library, looking for a Boy Scout that may be looking to achieve their Eagle Scout status. They have another landscaping project, so if you know of anybody that's looking for an Eagle Scout project, this one might be a great one for them. I think it's working on the last section of the landscaping at the public library that project. I think that's on the May Street side is the last portion that we have to finish. Library will be closed March 30th, Friday, March 30th through Thursday, April 4th. That's for the new LED lights to be installed. That was a project I think we approved here last week or 2 weeks or 2 meetings ago. So that is getting ready to go underway at the end of the month and the 1st of April. That also coincides with spring break, so there should be a little bit less foot traffic in there at that time. So it was almost a perfect time to get that done in the library. For the City Hall project, the mason has finished the police department sally port. The concrete floor of the lobby has been poured, and the 2 skylights have been installed, and they're on the City Hall side. Wonderful amount of light coming through there. Today I was over there. It's going to be a nice aspect in that building. Most of the drywall has now been hung on both the City Hall side and the police department side, with the exception of probably the central area for the City Hall staff. That area has not been because they're waiting on a few pieces to come in for the gates for the windows. The drywall crew will be ready to mud and tape starting tomorrow on the police department side. And they've also had ceiling tile grid is up on the City Hall side, light fixtures, heating and cooling vents, air diffuser vents, and the fire sprinkler heads have all been installed. They're ready to go. I think the City Hall side just needs carpet, paint, and ceiling tiles, and it's ready to go. Just need us to be ready to move in. We're looking at a time for that move to be roughly May 1st, before May 1st. I would guess somewhere between April 15th and May 1st. So we're talking 5 to 6 weeks out at this point in time. It's exciting and overwhelming at the same point in time. So, and then finally, we're planning a Commissioner's Appreciation Dinner, looking at that to be held on April 19th, Thursday, April 19th. We do have a number of vendors that have already contributed to the function, and depending on where we're at with City Hall, we're looking to possibly take the commissioners on a tour. So those commissioners may get a sneak peek before everybody else, as a thank you for their time that they have given to us over the years. So we'll find out where we're at. April 19th, we should be in pretty good shape to be able to do that. We'll see where we're at, but JSV has been pretty good about making sure things have been moved around so we can make sure the people can walk through pretty well. So I've talked long enough. My mouth is very dry now. So any questions I'll be happy to answer though.
Kurt, let me put with a motion to accept and file the updates, reports, and document submissions.
Motion, Mayor.
Councilman DiGiulio has moved. Mayor Pro Tem McLeod has supported. Any questions by council of the city administrator?
Yeah, I have one.
Councilwoman Gavrecki?
I know the fire chief and the deputy chief are going out to Wisconsin to inspect the truck. How's the truck getting back here? Are you picking it up and driving it back, or is it being delivered?
Mark gave me one. I drank it
They'll-
already. I'm good.
They'll drive it here?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Those things, they get really good gas mileage, probably go pretty fast on the freeway, I imagine, you know.
Take. Thank you.
Are there any other
Just
questions?
a quick one. Maybe,
Councilman DiGiulio.
Mark, you could tell the folks how old our sewer systems are now.
Yeah, for the sewer system, I probably about the same age as the water main system. The average age on the water main is roughly around 80 to 90 years old, and sewers are in that same age group. As bad as we see the roads, because that's what everybody can see. That's what we drive on. We see on a daily basis. You know, water and sewer infrastructure, not only in Allen Park but with throughout the state of Michigan, I think is in dire need of major repairs. So. The water main that we're looking at replacing here before the projects I mentioned is somewhere around a little over $1 million, and you know it's probably the same aspect as you see for the roads. You know, we're just putting a little dent in what we really need, but we're going to keep plugging along. So, but I think there was an article, I did not get to see it, I heard it on the radio this afternoon, they were talking on sports radio about the infrastructure within the state of Michigan, a newspaper article out of the news, Free Press, so it's something I think out of sight, out of mind, but it is something we need to take a look at a little bit more, and we're trying to do the best we can with the money we have.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments by council? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. We're at the public comment period. Citizens, if you just look on the back of your agendas, you'll see the rules of decorum for comments or questions with the council. So please observe those suggestions and come forward.
Robert Turner, Morris Avenue. I think you saw the memo about the tree. I live by city property, our property, they join each other, and there have been some large trees that grown over a period of time, and some have died. So the last snowstorm, a tree fell, and it partially landed on top of my house. No damage to the home. But I got to compliment Matt and his crew. They did a super job. I sent Matt an email on Saturday night, and I'm not sure where he's at. In 5 minutes, he said, "Sir, we'll take care of it." So he came and looked at it. He brought a crew out, I think Wednesday or Thursday. They did just a super job. 4 people in a short period of time. They had to clean up, and they actually trimmed some other trees in the same areas. So, I mean, they really did a great job. Number 2, I told you where I live at, over that Tom's Nursery. You familiar with that piece of property, Tom's Nursery? Okay, there's a planning commission meeting April the 5th, and they want to make that a used car lot. That would probably be the worst thing you could put in that parcel of land. These people have a bad record of just not following the ordinances, and it seems as if the city has problem enforcing the ordinances. So the community against a used car lot being there, and it's it could create. It doesn't appeal to the neighborhood. It doesn't do anything in the neighborhood. It's also near Ecorse Creek, so you could have some environmental issues. So I appreciate it if you people can look into this, do your homework, and express your thoughts on it. Appreciate it. Thanks. I have pictures of the trees. You might want to see it later.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor Ray McGusson-Quant, to the Chair, Mayor, maybe to Mark, maybe Mark, you can answer this. I know over the past couple of years, the citizens have been spoiled with our trash pickup. We're throwing out bulk out there, or an extra box, or an extra bag, not in the containers. And trash pickup people have been very good coming through it, picking it all up. But I also noticed that within the last month, it's not being picked up. And I understand why now. And maybe, Mark, you can now tell the citizens, or even our people out there, what's happening and what's going to happen in the future. Because even today, when I came to this area, came to the city hall here, I noticed there's a lot of boxes. Trash is already gone. There's loose boxes laying out there. Some couches that have been out there for a couple of weeks already, and chairs. And I think it needs to be, somehow addressed in the correct way. It's like I said, we've been really spoiled with the way it's been being picked up lately. So thank you very much. Have a great day.
As Mr. McGusson mentioned, I'll yield to Tom for a second. Have you met with them to resolve some issues, or? So the biggest issue is that the residents need to make sure that, and we're working with the waste company, Advanced Disposal, to make sure we get a flyer out to everybody. But the situation that we have right now is that the residents need to make sure they're calling in for the bulk pickup. That is not, was not occurring. So if they call the 1-800 number and get on the list, they'll be able to get the bulk pickup scheduled. They were doing the truck just driving around, but they have, are going to be stopping that, and it needs to be through the 1-800 number call to get scheduled. No, there is no extra charge for that. If you do call the bulk pickup, that is a free pickup, but it needs to be just called through the 800 number. So we ran into a little bit of a problem, though, is with the 800 number and getting those scheduled, and that's what we're working with Advanced Disposal on, to make sure that they're getting on the list, because some residents were calling, they were talking to Advanced, and then it wasn't getting picked up, and then we called to check on it, and it was that the resident didn't call, so there was kind of a back and forth, and I think that's where Tom was stepping in to work with
They have
with
to
Chris
remember to
Preston
call
and
24 hours before their normal pickup. That's becoming a problem. People don't understand the 24-hour period. They only dispatch a single truck to go get this stuff. So residents are getting very frustrated because they'll call that morning of, or sometimes not at all, and say, you know, they expect it. I've resolved a few issues. We had meetings with Advance, with their customer service, because there has been some issues. A couple employees have been let go from Advance that we had problems with, they had problems with. We get a list sent to DPS, myself personally on my cell phone, I get a list every night at 9 o'clock at night for the next day's bulk pickup. So we found a lot of citizens saying they called when they don't. And every call is recorded at Advanced Customer Service. So now we have lists to verify who's on it, who's not on it. And it seemed to resolve a lot from people telling us is a lot of people will always say, I did that when they didn't. It's getting better. We get less calls now at DPS. We were getting really clobbered with calls because people got used to, as Mr. Augustin said, they just come pick it up. That was never our contract with Advance. They just did this to try to slow us into it. And as of January, we no longer do that. You have to call 24 hours before your regular scheduled pickup. Up to 10 bags if you have bags of trash. They can't be stacked on top of people's trash cans because it just makes a mess. They have a thing go there. The guy doesn't get out and do that. People need to understand that. They have to be set aside next to it and called for bulk pickup also. Same with chairs, couches, things of that nature. But everybody who has followed that has been very wonderful in telling us how they have kept up with what they said they would do.
Do they have a Saturday?
No. Saturday
Yeah,
bulk pickup?
because we
Yes.
have Monday trash pickup, so.
You would call on Friday for your Saturday.
Okay.
If you have a Monday, I would advise you to call on Friday.
Right, okay.
Not call on Saturday, because I think their customer service center possibly is not open normal hours on a Saturday.
Okay.
we can find that out. I
Yeah.
think it needs to be a flyer going out to everybody.
Yeah, and I just want to
Yeah.
make sure because.
The issue, when I come in, I try to drive in various different ways to go down the, trash day and see what's going on. A lot of what I see is people put a box, and let's say it's a new TV or something like that, or some small appliance. A lot of times, if they would just crush that box up and put it in well, first they should probably try to recycle the box because it is cardboard. But if they're not going to do that, they need to try to crush it down and get it in the can itself. The can lid can stay up. I think so many people want to make sure the lid is perfect. There. If you put it out there the morning of, and it's lifted a little bit, that's fine. The truck can still pick that up. It's a matter of leaving it next to it. It just the guys aren't getting out to do that. It's automated and that was the reason to go that way. It was a lot cheaper, be able to offer the recycling on a basis as well. So if they can just get that box into the trash can, that's usually what the issue I've seen. It's one bag. I try to talk to my neighbors. I know there's usually a single person in my neighborhood that I can go drop a bag in their trash can. And a lot of times that's what I notice here. It's an extra bag sitting next to the can. Mm-hmm. And it just, walk over to the neighbors, throw it in their can, and the issue would be solved.
Do you have that number handy? We could give it out now?
Advanced Disposal.
Yeah, hold on. Their customer service number is 1-888-443-1717. Again, that number, and we'll get that up again, 188-443-1717. That's advanced disposal.
Joe has a big pickup for Thursday. He wants to make sure.
Actually, I do with my basement flooded, and I got a few things I gotta get out. So, thank you. You're right.
Call tomorrow.
Any other citizens?
Good evening. I am Deborah Detloff on Kepin and Allen Park. Last week I went to the Allen Park High School. I talked with the principal there. I talked with their police officer. They suggested I go to the Board of Education. I went to the Board of Education. I went to the Board of Education meeting last night, and now I'm here and I'd like to talk security in our schools. Last night, I understand there was a gentleman, one of our residents here last month, that presented a proposal of millage. I have a different idea. I worked security in a high school in Rochester for 2 years. It was a contracted company. It was started by my cousin and his other partner that retired from the Troy Police. The majority of the people there were police officers, retired. I think there's a solution to where we can do this at next to none to minimal cost to the city, and it would be done on a volunteer basis. The volunteer basis would be moms, dads at home, some of our residents that are very, very active, want a little purpose in life, want something to do, like to walk and walk the high school, check the doors, assist in the administration in any way that they deem necessary. Our world is changing very, very rapidly. This would not be a front line position. It would be extra eyes and ears in the school. From what I figured out, the only expenses that would occur would be that of radios that would be kept in the school but used during the day, some type of identifying uniform, a vest with Velcro or something. There would have to be background checks, and there would have to possibly CPR and some training through the police department. Being that we live in Wayne County, we never seem to have money for anything, and that shouldn't jeopardize our students or the security in our city of Allen Park. This is a very, very tight-knit little city, and I didn't realize until 3 hours ago when I put a post on the Allen Parker, and now I have so many comments, I'm going to spend the evening responding to it, but it happens to be on this system. The kids were very, very refreshing. We ended up being a very, very big part of their life. Some kids felt, you know, they could come and talk to us. Some kids felt secure. I walked around throughout the day. I had at least 3 miles. I loved it. Picking stones out of doors, pebbles out of doors, pencils, anything else because they slipped out to their car. Or in Rochester, it was different. They went up to Starbucks to go bring coffee back to their friends. Even if there's buzzers in the school, your teachers are confined to their room. They're not going to be wandering the halls. Your police officer is in the building. He can't be everywhere. Your admin from watching Allen Park High on Wednesday is very, very busy, and I don't think anybody had much time to wander. If some people are in there and they're walking around, they look out the door and say, wonder what that guy's doing out in our parking lot. Gets on the radio, he notifies, and it goes, the radios go to the admin, goes to the police, and it goes to the security, and they in turn, someone will go check it out. If they have buzzers in the school, that's a great thing, and cameras. But if one kid slips out and nobody's there in 3 minutes, where did he go? And who was he? And I just wanted to bring that up because I think it's something that's very, very needed. I have in the back of my mind that if Allen Park did something like this, we could kind of like be the poster child for other cities. I understand that Woodhaven has police. The police car outside of the Allen Park High School was very effective. I mean, I saw that immediately, and if I was going to do something stupid, I think it would have deterred me to move somewhere else. That's very, very effective. Kids are kids. Kids will do things. I had a child one day that went down the hall and he thought he was going to climb up on the drinking fountain and ended up getting 11 stitches in his wrist. And again, you can't be everywhere. I administered first aid one time until we got a child to the, I'm done? I'm done. And there should be at least a wheelchair in every school. Thank you.
Chair, council members. My name is Dennis Marcos. I live on Seavitt. A couple months ago, I saw an article in the paper. It was concerning the position of police commissioner. And it wasn't an article that I was kind of thrown back because it seemed that there was a problem getting a third commissioner in the city. At that point, I sent my application in to Mike. I spoke on the phone with Mike, and then I sent one, I believe, to you, Mr. Mayor. And I wondered what the process was going to be, and is there any sort of urgency for this, what I believe to be a fairly important position? So that's all I have. Questions all I have is there, what's the process and the urgency?
The process is a meeting of the two people that have been, one an appointee of the fire and police by their vote and the other by the vote of the council. We put up that person. They periodically have meetings and ask for any applications, and they have been going pretty much. So
Okay.
if they haven't, I don't know if they've seen yours or not, because
And I say it's been a couple
neither
months.
appointing group talks to the persons they appointed to see who's been there, and we have not been sending representatives to their meetings, although we do have the city attorney there to make certain that Robert's rules and Act 78 statute is followed. So it's kind of, you know,
Well, the reason
it was a charter change in 1999. I'll say after being mayor for 6 years, I'm not certain it works real well, because more time than not, we don't have the third representative.
And that's what I noticed, and when they shared 2 weeks ago, Mayor Pro Tem, I believe, was mentioning in her closing statements about having more people volunteer for commissions, and I put it, like I say, a couple of months ago, didn't know what the process was, haven't heard from anybody trying to volunteer.
And through the chair.
And this is an important position, and I have a lot of background, business, finance, so I thought I could use my knowledge, and I'm retired, so I have time.
Sure.
So.
Through the chair, I could, since you put in your application and we spoke on the phone, they have not met yet.
Okay.
Okay, I still have your application along with, I think, 3 others,
Okay.
4 others, and I'm waiting for them to actually meet again. And we've had a commissioner change in the meantime.
I saw that Dave
So,
Stringer,
yes.
last week was appointed.
Yep,
Was appointed for the
so,
city, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, don't think, it's still there in limbo, but these guys have no say-so.
And that's
It
why I wanted
goes,
to be here, because I wanted somebody to be aware that I'm interested.
okay.
And I'm here, so.
Well, I appreciate you coming forward, but it's one of those things where
gotcha.
we have
I understand,
little
believe me.
input, and
All right, that's, I appreciate your time, though. Thank you very much.
But you have not been forgotten, Mr.
is there anyone else wants to speak to the council tonight? Don't see anyone coming forward, so we're going to move forward with the council's business. We're going to go to the consent agenda, and we separated out claims and accounts. Can I have a motion to put claims and accounts before the
Motion, Mayor.
claims and accounts? Moved by Councilman DeGiulio. Do I have a second?
Support.
Supported by Councilman Templin. Questions from council? Councilman DeGiulio?
Over here on page 1, labor attorney, Keller Toma, for $2,667. What is that for, what is going on there?
Councilman, that is for the, that's a labor attorney for the fire department labor negotiations.
Okay, and do you have any idea of how much we've spent so far in that attorney?
That one I don't. I can track that down for you, though.
Thank you. Another question here on on professional services, White and Sons Incorporated, repair services on a home on O'Connor Street for $1,700. What's that about?
Yeah, this was a house, I believe there was a homeowner passed away. There was a hoarding situation, it appears. The house was boarded up because it was unsafe for habitation. And we ended up placing a lien on the property in hopes that we can get that reimbursed back if there's a sale of the property or a tax foreclosure or something on that aspect. We'll try to get it back at that point. But my understanding, and Dave is not here tonight, he had to attend the Aquinas meeting. I believe that the homeowner's son is in the demolition business. I believe they were looking at a demolition for that property.
Okay, so he didn't do the repairs on it then to close it up, huh?
No, that was done before that. I think that was done before they got involved with it.
And what happens if that property goes back to the state, if they don't pay the taxes on it? Let it go back?
Yeah, it's potential that you could see that a lien wiped out.
The white lien would be wiped out, we wouldn't get nothing for it? Okay, thank you very much.
If we get to that point of doing, if we end up having, if it does require demolition, and the city gets involved, that's a possibility of being utilizing the CDBG funds for the demolition. We did that with the house over on, off of Van Born that caught on fire, that was on Belfort.
Do we know how much back taxes are on this house? I mean, if they knock it down, there's probably not gonna be, would wanna pay the taxes on the home.
You know, I know it's not on the list of the houses that are 3 years delinquent, so I can't say that it's delinquent tax at this point.
Okay, thank you very much.
Just on that, where we do put liens and the reimbursement to the cities where the county takes the forfeiture of the property, the forfeiture is only the ad valorem taxes. It is not liens placed on for water or where we've had to come and do repairs or boarding or whatever. But we have been successful where those properties that have been forfeited and we have taken them and sold them to Realty Transitions. One of the things with our contract with them is they pay for these additional liens that the city had put on the property, so we would get the money back that way. When you've got a property that's down to the bare ground, I don't think they bought any bare ground forfeiture properties.
Belfort. They did pick up Belfort.
So they have in the one instance. We don't have that many properties, but they have been helpful in going that extra step and reimbursing the city for those extra expenses, because before, we just lost that when we got the tax reimbursements in delinquent taxes. So I think it's worked well for us in the 20 cases or 25 cases that we've had the last 3 years. If there are no other questions on claims and accounts, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Consent agenda has a number of items. First one being under purchasing actions, the payroll report. Under the finance overview, budget to actual report, balance sheet, cash flow, and then under licenses and permits, the Boy Scouts have asked to drop off flyers on 3/17 and then pick up their bottles that you hopefully will put out for them. St. Francis Cabrini Parish has asked for a permit for 5 p.m. Friday, June 8th to 9 p.m. Sunday, June 10th for their annual parish festival. And Ben's Boyce Power Home Remodeling Group has a solicitor's permit, and a $300 fee is attached to their permit. So could I have a motion or the consent agenda items?
Motion.
Mayor McLeod
Support.
has moved, and Councilwoman Gavrecki has supported. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Those items are all carried. A resolution to authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign an agreement with MDOT for contract 18-502 to control section STU 82,000, Enterprise Drive reconstruction, eastbound I-94 off-ramp to Oakwood Boulevard. And we could have that motion to put before the council.
Support.
Councilman Rourke has moved, Councilman Templin has supported. That really, that isn't the whole down thing, it's just the bottom 100 feet or so, is it?
They're going to replace from basically where you make the left-hand turn at the stop sign.
Oh, at the stop
So
sign all
from
the
the
way
top
down?
all the way down. So
Okay.
the washboard will be removed.
Are there any questions by council? I know I was surprised, I didn't realize that a exit from the expressway would be a city's, and we have that responsibility, and we have two of them here. We have one along the hill, and then we have this one, and this one really takes a beating from trucks, because they come down that and hit the bottom of that hill, and they just take the concrete out.
Nothing surprises us anymore around here, but this is a similar situation. This is the city got the grant through the Federal Aid Committee on from Wayne County. This is a very similar situation to Lafayette Street in Lincoln Park. As you get off the freeway, the exit ramp ends at Lafayette, but then you utilize a city street to get to the other county roads. And this one here is a city road, so Tom's been over there making sure he tries to get the fill with, or Matt Doring, to get it patched up as often as possible, but it's in bad shape. So,
Are there any other questions by council? If none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Resolution to approve the contract extension of TNT Tree Services using the same prices as last year, and to bypass the city bid process as there would be no economic benefit to a rebid. Motion, please.
Motion.
Councilwoman Gavarecki
Support.
has moved. Councilman DiGiulio has supported. Any discussion?
if I may add, I think this actually goes back longer than just 2017 numbers. I think this goes back to 2015, or at least 2016, because I know we did this last year with the TNT for the 2016 numbers for 2017, so.
If there are no questions, then I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is carried. Resolution to enter into an agreement with Service Ice Refrigeration for the installation of a new control system for $29,798 for installing a new stainless steel melting pit coil. Wait a minute. No, that's the new control systems, 29. Do we split these up, or are we gonna take them all as a single? What's the, because there's two items, two different prices here. I know they all go as part of fixing the icing and the icing.
I think you're more or less, through the chair, the agreement would cover both. You're just approving the agreement with Service, so you don't need
Okay,
to
so it's
separate
two parts
them.
to Services.
Yep.
The second one being $11,989 for the installation of a new stainless steel melting pit coil. So if I could have a resolution.
Support.
Councilwoman Gavarecki has moved, Councilman Rourke has supported. Does the city administrator want to explain what these items are?
I'm gonna
They're in
explain, but if I could
they're in our
ask,
ice arena, folks, I know that. but-
Pat Hawkins to come up and explain it. I'm not allowed on the ice. Yeah, it's the Pat Hawkins show from now.
Well, the memo, I think, that you have in front of you, that's not a part of what the motion was, is a little more explanatory. The original control systems that control the temperatures and everything with the compressors at the ice rink were originally installed back in 1972. And we're looking to replace the control systems that were originally put in 72 as they've begun to fail at different times, and we certainly don't want to have an emergency situation. At the same time, when the ice resurfacer resurfaces the ice, it shaves ice. You can call it ice, you can call it snow, we call it snow. And it dumps it into a melting pit of hot water. And the heat from the compressors is funneled through a coil that sits in the bottom of this hot water so that the snow doesn't pile up after and take 3 days to melt. That has failed quite a bit, and right now, in order to keep that mountain of snow down, we've had to use hot water from the boilers. And of course, that costs more money because we're running hot water. So anyway, these are things that were both installed back in '72, and they're replacements. Service was the original contractor that put these items in, and they remain to be our mechanical contractor at the ice rink currently. And as far as I know, they're the mechanical contractor for everybody around.
Any questions by council?
Just because we've been adding a lot of things back there, is everything compatible as we're getting new pieces?
Yes.
With the cooling system and everything back there?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And it's another reason to maintain one mechanical contractor who blends it all together and doesn't have to, there's no learning curve for somebody new that's coming in.
Any other questions? I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Why don't you just remain here?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is carried. Next resolution is to approve a passport grant for the removal and installation of new inclusive playground equipment at Humpty Dumpty Park with a total project cost of $210,000. Funding to be from a state grant of $140,000 and $70,000 to come from the county's
Millage.
Parks and Recreation millage that they control. So there's no funds coming from citizens' general fund payments. Can I have a motion for this item?
Motion.
Support.
I'll support it.
Councilman Gawarecki, Councilman Templin has supported. Any questions? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is carried. Resolution to approve the removal and installation of playground equipment at Cunningham Park with a total project cost of $412,000, $298,384 come from a state grant, $63,742 to come from Game Times Foundation, I believe it is, that makes those grants, matches with their equipment. And then CDBG funds, which is $113,742. Could we have a motion to put this before the council?
Motion.
Councilman Rourke
Support.
has moved. Councilwoman Gawarecki has supported. Again, the costs are coming from county funds, federal funds, and state funds. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Any questions by council?
The only thing is, since you're putting a higher percentage there
Yes.
that you're paying, it makes the grant much easier to get?
Yes, the matching grant on the first one that you passed already, and this one, the minimum match is 25%. And if the more we match, and since it's not general fund money and it's coming from other sources, the higher your scores if you have a higher match percentage.
So it's 33% on the one, 38% with us, huh?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions by council? Hearing none, then I'll ask for the vote on this resolution. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. The last resolution for the Parks and Rec Department. The Land and Water Conservation Grant for removal and installation of new inclusive playground equipment at Brer Rabbit Park. Total project cost of $210,000. State grant of $105,000 and $105,000 to come from community development block grant funds. So can I have a motion for this item, please?
Motion.
Councilman
Support.
DiGiulio has moved. Councilwoman Gavareki is supported. Is there any discussion on this matter? Hearing none? Whoop, excuse me.
I guess I just have a general question, not so much on this one. Are any of these projects going to be community builds again, or planning on it, or?
No. I'm not planning on it right now. The reason is the community builds, and I believe strongly in them. All of these are inclusive, meaning they're applicable for all people, whether you have a physical, mental, or no handicap whatsoever. Everybody can get in this. It requires either a report in place, such as Duda Park has, or a tile that's put down. And below that has to be an aggregate base. Some of it gets too detailed for a community build. And as much as I believe and support them, I'd like to get through these and see how we can tie a community build into them, but we have to get much of the infrastructure done without a community build.
I forgot that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins, and let's hope that all those grants come through, sir. Last item of business is a public hearing on
There was that other distress grant.
We will need to do a public hearing.
The generator.
As the mayor mentioned, the public hearing, though, I think we will be required, Pat, we're required to have a public hearing. I think we're going to have to schedule for next week, or for 2 weeks, I mean. We'll get that, work with Mike to get that scheduled, because the requirement for these grants is a public hearing before they're submitted.
on items
Three, would be
4, 5,
4, 5, 6.
4, 5, and 6. How about the distressed cities grant?
Nope, that was, you already doing that one.
Okay. The distressed cities grant, I need a motion to put before the council for the Department of Treasury to give us a grant for generator and transfer switch at the new City Hall and Police Department, and to convert LED streetlights, and it's in the amount of $319,321.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion by Councilman DiGiulio, supported by Councilman Rourke. Is there any discussion?
Just for the public? I apologize, I realized my error, my spelling error. My excitement this morning was so great. My excitement yesterday was pretty good as well. Being at home, I was off yesterday, but this email came through. Some absolutely wonderful news for the city of Allen Park. The state of Michigan, through the Treasury Department's Financially Distressed Cities, Villages, and Townships grant program, has awarded the city $319,321. That'll be for a generator and transfer switch at the new City Hall, Police Department, as well as LED streetlights. Looking with Bob, we're going to be meeting with Deb Keene from DT next week when she returns from a vacation. I believe that will cover the remaining part of the city that has not been done. That is the area north of Southfield Road and I-94. So the entire city, once we're done with this, should have all new LED lights throughout. And then the generator and the transfer switch, just highly needed in the building that is currently under construction. We do not have a generator here at this building. We had one at the old building that was a manual transfer switch. Apparently, I think Dave Boomer said he had to go manually switch it on occasion when it was needed, and it was not very reliable, was my understanding as well. So highly needed, nice addition to the project. And just some great news from the city, from the state for the city, finally. I think we're long overdue for some good news from the state of Michigan.
Do we have to have the motion amended, say we'll accept the money? Any questions by
Yeah, the
council?
question, they require the ordinance, or the resolution, but Mike's pointed out that I was asking for a couple things here to accept the money, but I think that's pretty,
Okay.
if you can do the motion, I think, or the resolution, I think you'll accept the money.
I'll make a motion for a question.
It's already been motioned.
Yeah, it's already before
It's
the
already-
council. If there are no other questions, then I'll ask.
So
for
I
the
just have a
vote.
quick question. With this new equipment, is it gonna be able to fit in somewhere at the new city hall? I mean, has it been
Yeah,
adapted
we'd been planning for a generator there, whether, this was our primary desire to have this grant to fund that. If not, we were looking at some other options.
Okay, so at least it's set for
We're
a
ready
place,
to go.
okay.
Yep, we're ready to go.
This is the second time we've applied for this too, is it not?
We applied for a generator, it was gonna be a mobile generator that would be moved from various locations, I think here, community center, and that one was denied. Or was that one? No. That one was approved and we moved it to the HVAC system.
Right. So this will be,
Oh,
this will be a fixed system supported by gas,
Diesel.
diesel?
We have a diesel line, or we have to have somebody fill the tank off?
It gets filled.
that's your job.
I'm just kinda
You
laughing.
get to fill the
I'm just
diesel
kinda laughing
tank.
as the audience can't see what's going on. I can just see heads bobbing in the back as the answer to the question, so.
Yeah, nobody's raising their hand back there, so I'm not sure.
Any other questions by council? Hearing none, we'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Under other business, a public hearing. Do we need a motion to open for public hearing?
No, it's not an official, just the motion and support for third reading and public hearing. And then you just give it to one and then hear comments and then come back.
Just close and then go to.
Yeah,
adoption.
close and then to the fourth or the final and
So I need a
adoption.
motion for the third reading and moved by Mayor McLeod. Supported by Councilwoman Gavrecki. Before I ask the citizens to come forward with their comments, the city attorney will give us our third reading, please.
Good evening. Proposed ordinance 03-2018, an ordinance of the City of Allen Park Code of Ordinances amending Chapter 6, Animals, Article 2, Dogs and Cats, Division 1, generally by the repeal and readoption of Section 6-61, Control of Dogs and Cats Off Premises, to add a provision requiring animal waste pickup.
Does anybody wish to come forward and comment?
Mayor, City Council, Ray McGusson-Quant. Through the chair, Joe, can you go ahead and explain this a little bit more in detail? And not only in detail, are you going to go ahead and send notices out to our citizens so they understand this? Okay? Because I think this is a major problem within our city. If you're going to change this, I'm just saying, is there a way for us to notify our citizens? And can you please explain exactly what this is and what the fine is, or what's going to happen? Thank you.
Through the chair, and what I do is we publish it in the paper and usually a synopsis, but because this is such a small one, and I know a lot of people don't read the paper, but I will put all that language in there about and then we'll also have it on our website. So, but to that extent, will we be sending it out to people through the mail? No. I wouldn't know where to start with some of the ordinances, but you are right, because I do walk my dog and I almost step in a lot of stuff on the way, so.
Could we put it on Facebook?
Yeah, we can do that.
That'll give us 3 places.
Well, it's pretty straightforward. If you have a pet, you need to keep that pet under control. You need to keep them on a leash. And you also need to keep something in your possession, probably a plastic bag, so you can pick up any
Dog manure.
anything that's left behind. So, And if you don't, you could be issued a ticket, so. And, you know, fortunately, most people do this, but it's like everything. There's always a few people who we need to put a law in place and every now and then enforce it to stop them from doing this. So, and as Mike noted, I think it's kind of difficult to send a notice to all the citizens. It's very expensive for the, mail, but you'll do your best, maybe putting a website, remind people to do that. Now, if you do see someone do it, you can tell them in all honesty, the law requires that they need to carry something so they can pick up the waste.
Is this going to include squirrels and rabbits? Or just checking.
Can we comment yet, Mayor, or are we still waiting to close the?
Any other questions by council?
I do.
Councilman Rock.
Just from a communication standpoint, Mike, maybe we can do a postcard when people come to get their dog license, pet license, whatever the case is. You have an address list to mail out, possibly. And then the other part is with all the veterinary clinics we have here, of possibly having it there that they can distribute it.
I could forward it to the vets as handing out one specific ordinance. Legally, I don't like doing that, because then they get written for someone else. Well, they didn't notify me at the city, you know? But I would not, that's a great idea for all the local vets to get a copy of it. I mean, if I may, to me, this is a common sense. If you're walking your dog and it goes on someone's lawn, you pick it up. But again, there's a reason they have to put this law in the books, okay? So I will do what I can, but I'll have it in display at my office, but handing something, because there's the other things that I'd like to hand out also, but.
Are you still taking public comment, Mayor?
Yes.
Ron Meestor from Reek Road. There was a good question. How much is the fine and who enforces it for this new ordinance? Who do we call for that, or is there a procedure that will be in place?
Well, with any ordinance, a police would have to issue a ticket, so.
And how much would a fine be?
You know what, I don't have that in front of me here. It's I believe the first one's a civil infraction.
Okay.
So
All right, thank you.
Any other comments from public? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I would ask for a motion for final reading and adoption of this ordinance by the council.
Motion, Mayor.
Councilman DiGiulio has moved. Support. Councilman Rourke has supported. Could we have the final reading then by the city attorney?
Ordinance 03-2018, an ordinance of the City of Allen Park, Code of Ordinances, amending Chapter 6, Animals, Article 2, Dogs and Cats, Division 1, generally by the repeal and readoption of Section 6-61, Control of Dogs or Cats off premises, to add a provision requiring animal waste pickup.
Are there any other questions by council on this ordinance proposed? I hear none. I'll ask, I think it's a roll call vote.
Yes.
Roll call vote, please.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got a motion by Councilman DiGiulio, supported by Councilman Rourke. And this is an ordinance, it's ordinance number 3-2018, an ordinance amending Chapter 6, Animals, Article 2, Dogs and Cats, Division 1 generally, Section 6-61, Control of Dogs or Cats off premises. Shall this ordinance pass? And we'll start with Councilman DiGiulio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Gabarecki.
Yes.
Mayor Mategas.
Yes.
Madam Pro Tem McLeod.
Yes.
Councilman Rourke.
Yes.
and Councilman Templin.
Yes.
It is unanimous. This shall be deemed adopted, and it will be published in a manner prescribed by law and sent to every vet clinic in the city. So we'll take care of that one.
Last item of other business, any comments that council wish to make to tonight?
I'll go.
Councilman Rohr.
We always get updates from a lot of our commissions in different areas, and this, in our packet, we have them for the Historical House, and one of our commissioners, Ray McGusson, thank you for stepping up, as well as John Mensinger, Dave Boomer, Bob Cady. I guess you had some water flood damage type stuff there, and you guys were there to help out, so thank you. We talk about commissioners and people volunteering, and he's there helping from cutting the grass to whatever needs to be done, so thank you. The other one, and probably some others will comment on it as well, is thanking Parks and Rec. A lot of people have come up through the years to talk about, why can't we get grants? Why can't we look for money? Why can't we do this and this? And guess what? We have a lot coming in, so thank you for the effort from that team as well. So, that's it.
I'll go.
Councilman Gavareki.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and your comments. There was a lot of good conversation this evening. To the students, thank you for coming out. St. Patrick's Day Saturday, everybody celebrate responsibly. But most importantly, I'd like to acknowledge there's a student here tonight whose birthday is Saturday, so happy birthday, Kelsey. You're welcome. Oh, well, happy birthday. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Councilman DiGiulio.
You know, I've attended, I saw a gentleman step up here about the Police and Fire Civil Service Commission. I've attended every one of those meetings, and it just seems like they're really having difficulty. I mean, you had one commissioner resign, and then you replaced him, Mayor, with a gentleman that had been turned down from the commission originally. So here we have a gentleman that's stepping up to the plate there, and we're not getting any meetings going. What's going on? Because I attended every meeting we've had with Police and Fire Civil Service. I take a big interest in that because that's the protection for our police officers in the city and our firemen in the city. So what seems to be going on that we're not getting another meeting going? It's been a good month since we had the last one. No comment? Good. Good night.
I don't know if he was asking me the question or not, because he didn't refer to anybody in particular. But I have been asked by the commissioners, and by people from the audience, to not interfere with their actions. They're supposed to be independent under Act 78, whatever that means. I don't think there's anybody that can push them in their meetings, and Mr. Trainer, I think, was just appointed 2 weeks ago. I don't even know if he's taken his oath of office yet. Don't know if he's in the city. He may be on vacation. He came up at the last minute.
Mike?
Yes,
Yes.
and I believe he, I mean, I don't mean to get into his personal life, but he is on vacation.
Right.
And him and the other commissioner have spoken and communicated. So there's no miscommunication or loss. They spoke very well from what I heard, so they're just waiting to have a meeting. But again, I would like to repeat and really push this. This is not the first time we've ever had two commissioners. Okay, it could perfectly function with two commissioners, okay, legally. And I've seen it, and I have minutes to prove it, but it's neither here nor there. A full commission is three, so.
Any other council? Madam Treasurer?
Next week, the Allen Park city employees are participating in a food drive for gleaners. We're concentrating on the city employees, but we will have boxes within City Hall, the community center, our fire department, our police department, our DPS department. So if there are any residents that would like to contribute to this, it runs from the 19th through the 30th. And it's a good cause for some less fortunate people in our communities. Have a good evening.
Could I just say one thing? So as part of that public hearing, there was a question, what's the penalty for doing that? And I mentioned it is a municipal civil infraction, and that is true, but I did not answer your question as to what the fine is. So I looked it up, I got the book. So your first offense is $50, second offense is $100.
The third offense is a misdemeanor.
And third offense is a misdemeanor, yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem
Comment,
McLeod.
the misdemeanor.
The city administrator kind of took what I wanted to say, and that was to congratulate the Allen Park High School boys hockey team. I finally got to see one live and in person, and I'll tell you, I love hockey to begin with, but there is nothing like being down there right next to the wall, especially when these young fellows are whizzing by and then somebody gets slammed on the board and you're going, ooh, because you're a mom. And, but it was an extremely exciting game. I understand that Livonia has one of the top-rated hockey teams in the state, and the fact that Allen Park was in there right to the very end, and it took 3 overtimes. It was just an unfortunate turn. I mean, we had a shot right at the end that we could have closed it out. It was extremely exciting, and I am definitely going to put this on my calendar for next year, next season, because like I say, I love hockey as it is, and this was really super, and encourage more people to come out, whether you know anybody on the team or not. It's just a fun game. So thank you all for coming out tonight. Have a good evening and enjoy the daylight.
I guess I'm the last one standing. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I think you heard that the Parks and Recreation Department and the number of grants that have been applied for there, the grants for that have been applied for by the city administrator and our CFO. Also, our city administrator really leads the downriver in the CDBG. Getting that out is a mouthful. In maintaining those grants from the federal government and maintaining the allocations, and he should be congratulated for that work, for it's important to us. As we said, it allows us to do things that we wouldn't have the money from the general fund on low-income areas of the community, and we have, I believe, 2 that qualify, and we've done just about what we can do in that area, so that's great that we've made the improvements there. But we are much more cognizant of the necessity to look to the state and other resources to meet the needs of the citizens and to make the improvements necessary so that people can enjoy the city and its facilities. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Councilman DeGiulio has moved. Councilwoman Gavricki has supported. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, same sign. That is carried at 7:14.